Fantasy football junkies. You are tuned in to the #1 source for fantasy prognostication. It's Testosterone Fantasy Sports with your hosts, Jeff and Jesse. So listen up. Here's your chance to gain the edge over the competition and dominate your fantasy football league. Every week we break down all of the matchups and tell you who to play as well as who should ride the pine. This is the joint that every fantasy junkie needs, so check it out!
Yes, what is up, fantasy folks? It's that time again. Jeff and Jesse in the house. Testosterone Fantasy Sports, doing this thing we love to do, Jeff. Week 3 NFL season is upon us, and so far it's been a wild roller coaster
Yes,
ride.
and we are chugging right along here at Testosterone Sports, testosteronesports.com. Make sure to check it out online. We have a lot to go through today. We want to get through the matchups. It's my first time on the purple segment, so I'm hoping to lend a little of the mojo to my favorite player and the rest of the squad. But Jesse, I know that here in week 3, the trends are starting to begin in the NFL. So we've dubbed this show The Trends Begin, and we're going to be discussing throughout the matchups some of the likely trends that we're seeing throughout the course of the first few weeks here in the NFL season. And as they flesh themselves out over the course of week 3 and 4, then again next week we'll talk about them and see exactly what's happening.
Absolutely, and we've got an action-packed hour-long episode for you folks at home, so don't change the channel. Stay right there. Grab your favorite beverage and get locked in. We're going to be breaking down all of the matchups as we do on a weekly basis. There will also be a web-only segment, as Jeff said, that you can view on the website at testosteronesports.com, because first and foremost, we're here to help you dominate in your fantasy football league. As the trends begin, we're going to be breaking this down insight for you to help you win at fantasy play. But as you see right now, we're leading off the show talking about the favorite team here in our local land of purple, Jeff, the Minnesota Vikings. Big news coming out this week. We've got to lead off the show with it. And, of course, we have to start out with the week that was. This is how we got here. A pretty humiliating, embarrassing loss in a game that we should have had last weekend against the Indianapolis Colts, the Vikes, 0-2.
Yeah, it's a really tough way for us to start out the season, especially when we had such high hopes to begin with. By no means am I thinking we need to throw in the towel by now. It's a very long season. We've got 14 games yet to go. Week 3 is coming up. We've had some good success against the Panthers, so I feel confident going into this game. But I'll tell you, it was a really frustrating loss to suffer through against a Colts team that we were able to pretty much shut down for 3 quarters.
Right.
Our offense inebriated. They only were able to put up the 5 field goals, and when that happens to your team, it just doesn't give you a chance to win.
I think they were anemic, man. Inebriated is drunk. Maybe the coaches were drunk.
Anemic, thank you.
I don't know, but
made me want to get inebriated. I'll tell you that much, dude.
but definitely in the game plan in that second half of the game. I mean, it certainly seemed to me like Brad Childress and Darrell Bevel, the offensive coordinator, were really playing this game. Instead of playing it to win, they were playing just to not lose, and the play calling was all very suspect. 15 points, 5 field goals. You're not going to beat the Indianapolis Colts without scoring a touchdown. I did like to see Jared Allen in this game, finally getting some pressure on the quarterback, which we're paying him $30 million to do. The defense played outstanding. Granted, Manning's line was definitely disheveled, losing starters throughout, but really the key here, Jeff, was, as far as I'm concerned, the offense just couldn't score a touchdown.
Yeah, well, thank God for A. Pizzle, because he's the bomb, and as long as he can keep rolling, then we have a good chance to win. The issue is no passing game, and I'll tell you, Jesse, that I'm really concerned about our favorite player's ability to stay healthy for a whole season.
Me too.
If we don't lighten the load on him with a passing attack.
Yep.
We have to do something, and the bootleg rollout that Tavares is able to do wasn't very effective. Visanthe Shenko can't seem to catch the ball
at all,
and that's been a huge problem for us this year. We're paying this guy loot. He's a good athlete, but he wasn't blessed with hands that can catch a football. So I'm telling you, it's just really frustrating when he's open and he's dropping the ball every time.
Yeah, Visanthe definitely bears a large part of the burden, but unfortunately for us here in Vikings Nation, the head coach of the squad, Brad Childress, has put the burden squarely on the shoulders of his quarterback, Tavares Jackson, getting the axe this week, Jeff. Just 2 weeks into the season, and my question is this. If you believed in your quarterback this much, which we've heard all offseason, oh, Jackson's making these awesome progressions, he's going to be better this season. Look how great he played in the finale last year against Denver. If there was any remote chance that Jackson could be benched after 2 weeks, why the hell is Gus Frerotte our backup quarterback?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like we've got 50 guys on this team who together could win the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
We've got 3 guys who suck, but they all play the same position, and,
Sorry,
and it's
John
the most
David
important
Moody.
one. It's just like, what are we going to do, when we don't have a quality guy who can line up under center and move the ball down the field? And
Right.
160 yards out of Adrian is testament, if we can't put up a single touchdown,
Right.
that we've got a major, major problem in the passing game.
And I think that using Adrian as much as we're using him, let's not forget, I mean, when he's on, he is a special, special player. But you touched on it there, Jeff. This is a guy who has had injury problems throughout college, had an injury last year, missed a couple games. We've got Chester Taylor in the fold. Chester's very capable. Last week, only 3 or 4 touches. Adrian's seen at the end of the game limping around, limping again in practice.
He's got a hamstring right now.
It really makes me worried, man. We've got to give the ball to Chester Taylor more. We can't expect Adrian Peterson to carry 29, 30 times a game and stay healthy for
Well, and
a full
Jesse,
slate
he's
of
also
games.
our leading receiver as far as receptions goes.
Brutal.
And when that's the case for your number 1 player, he is all day and he's awesome. But at the same time, he's still human. And I just think that the more he gets rolled up on, the worse it's going to be. And teams' defenses are going to be seen going after his legs. We saw it last week in the game.
It makes me nervous every time.
Mathis went down at him, and luckily he was in a position to bend his body in a normal
Right.
fashion to go down. But now he's got the hamstring issue, and I wonder, he took a shot right there if he's got a little bit of a bruise there, and it's making me concerned, man. And then, the one other thing that I'm starting to be more concerned with again is it just seems like this regime that we have at Winter Park is so stuck on themselves and their abilities to win and produce in this league that there's really no room for criticism. And that's making me, that pride always becomes before the fall, and it's making me nervous that things aren't going to get better anytime soon.
And Jeff, T-Jack, or as I call him now, T-Joke, is one of the main things that are belying this point that you're trying to make. I mean, let's realize Jackson was completing just over 50% of his passes. He's got a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, not playing well, only 5.2 yards per pass. This team hung their hat on him because Childress knew he was right. Childress knew this guy was the next Donovan McNabb. We've been told this for years, but now all of a sudden, 2 weeks in, he's not. And I think that the coach needs to take more of the blame for that. I mean, because we're handing the reins to Gus Frerotte, 54% completion percentage. Last year in St. Louis, through 7 TDs, 12 interceptions. People at home, Gus Frerotte is not the answer.
Well, and let's not forget either that St. Louis bailed on him as their backup quarterback for Trent Green.
Brutal.
And when that happens, you know that there's something out on the guy. He's not that good. And then here's the other big problem for me is that we're going from a quarterback who's been quick to run the ball, and I think he's done well at that, Tavares has.
That's the one thing he's done
well. And we're going from a guy who's been running the ball to a statue who's only going to stand back there. And that's a complete philosophical change for our team to ingest pretty much overnight.
And we're missing our starting left tackle.
Our starting left tackle. So it's a major, major issue of concern in my book. And Jesse, I'm concerned about it. I do feel like we've got a chance to win this game coming up against the Panthers. And then I know the schedule lightens up, so I think that greener pastures could be on the horizon. But at the same time, it's got to start now, and we face a 2-0 team.
Yeah, so exactly. This is what Jeff is saying. This matchup this week, very crucial. The Carolina Panthers come to town. They're on a hot streak. They're 2-0. They won their opener in a very hostile environment, going on the road to play at San Diego, took the Chargers out, and then last week took out the Bears at home, a Chicago team that in their opener went on the road and beat Indy. So it certainly looks to me that the Panthers are a solid squad, and now this week they get their biggest playmaker back, Steve Smith, coming back from a 2-week suspension by the team, handed down for him punching one of his teammates, Ken Hamlin, in the face during the preseason. And I just worry that Steve Smith is going to come out juiced in this matchup. Our secondary has some issues, and let's not forget that game back in 2005 when our team's fortunes really started changing,
That
Jeff.
game right there.
That game was the game when Dante went down. He never started another game for the Purple, and in that game, Steve Smith, 11 catches for 201 yards. please, Jeff, tell me we're not about to get dusted.
Well,
like
it's
that
not going to happen like that. I don't think. No, that came against Fred Smoot.
True.
So, and the only good thing he was ever good at doing was hollering about himself. So, yeah, isn't that what the whistle of the boat said? Smoot, as they went down the river.
Yeah, exactly.
Down the lake. No, but Steve Smith, he's going to be. I really hope that they put Winfield on him, because I think that Antoine Winfield's still our best cover corner. Already, we're seeing Cedric Griffin getting his lunch eaten by a lot of different wide receivers in the NFL. Steve Smith's going to do the same thing. I do think that Winfield will be able to do a better job, but Steve Smith's pretty hard to cover, and if we don't double cover him with a safety rolled up over the top, it could get bad. I do think that a la Brandon Marshall, Steve Smith's going to have a great game here.
Yeah, I think Steve Smith's going to be very good too. Watching the game last week, I don't know, I've heard rumors that this is Winfield-induced. I don't know if that's the case or if it's Leslie Frazier who's come up with this plan, but they're playing Winfield over the player who's in the slot. And what they're saying is that he's able to come up and run support. He's such a great tackler. And so they're intentionally leaving the outside receiver to be covered by their number 2 and number 3 corners. Steve Smith is going to be playing outside. And if they don't move Winfield to the outside early and let's face it, leave him on Steve Smith all game, Steve Smith could go off for a couple hundred yards and a couple touchdowns in this game. I wonder, Jeff, in this situation, if the club has been told, come on, you've got to support Tavares. You've got to believe in him. And they've been questioned by the media repetitively. What about Tavares? Is he the biggest question mark? No, we believe in him. We believe in him. And now 2 weeks into the season, the coach who set this whole thing in motion has pulled the rug out. I'm really worried the other players are now going, I can't believe in you, coach.
Yeah.
Are you telling us the honest truth? I'm worried a total collapse could happen in this game.
Well, oh man, I mean, I'm not going to start thinking that way. You know, that's the very beginning of that mentality, in my opinion. But I will say this, you know, for players, the group of guys we have, especially in our defense, a guy like Jared Allen, who's completely in his prime, Antoine Winfield, just a shade past that with Darren Sharper. We've got some older players on our team, Big Pat, Kevin Williams, you know, guys who are effective now. Right now, our window is open defensively. And without the proper quarterback to lead the way, it's just making me feel like we're shortchanging these excellent guys.
Totally.
And it's hurting my heart, man, because all the rest of the team is ready to go.
Totally.
We're all ready to go, and the fans are ready to go. You know, everybody else is here ready to go. We've just got that one position, and it's killing us right now.
So we're going to cross our fingers and hope for the best. We're going to knock on wood right now at Testosterone. We're going to believe that this squad can summon the echoes of some of the great performances past. Believe that the Purple can get out of here with a W this weekend. They will be able to contain Carolina's running game, although Jonathan Stewart scored twice against the Bears last week and is really starting to come on. I think fantasy owners should avoid him here just because the one thing the Vikes do really well is stop the run.
Especially up the middle.
Yeah,
and that's Jonathan Stewart's style.
Exactly. So we're gonna hopefully contain them there and maybe turn this thing into a slugfest. But I'm definitely a little bit apprehensive now, given given the situation of the squad. I need to see something.
It's going to take a big play. It's going to take a big play. I don't care if it's in the return game, the special teams. The defense gets in on it. You know, a long bomb or some kind of a trick play. Adrian going off. So we need some kind of a big positive thing to get the momentum on our sides because our defense is hard to beat when we're playing with the lead.
Well, the momentum is on our side here at Testosterone Sports. We thank you for tuning in this week. We've got an awesome show coming, so don't go anywhere. And after the show, as always, come on to our website, testosteronesports.com. We'll be doing the Fat Chat, helping you pick your fantasy players.
Wait, hold the phone. Yeasty's in the house, too.
Oh, Yeasty
Stay
made
tuned
it.
for Yeasty's in the house.
Yeasty made it.
On the next segment, welcoming back the Yeast.
Yeast in week 3. Here he is. He's coming up right after this break. Testosterone in the house.